took a while to grab him, but was it because he sucked? Here's a look at the Masterverse, the Princess of Power, Leech. This Masterverse action figure of Leech is based on the villain's appearance in Princess of Power, with the high level of detail collectors have come to expect. The 18cm scale evil Master of Power Suction has 30 points of articulation, and comes with slide-on shoulder armor and bracers and removable head, whip, and crossbow weapons, both attached to his forearm. He comes beautifully packaged in a window box suitable for display. So it seems, while this guy's been catching rebels, I've been catching Zs. Totally slept on getting the Masterverse Leech, and I don't really know why. Always really liked the character, but it seemed that Leech was always available, and maybe that was the biggest thing that was facing this figure, was the fact he never seemed like he was ever out of stock. Sure enough, though, Amazon had marked the guy down low enough that I could then finally justify why I would want to add this guy to my shopping cart. I'm glad that I did, too, because at the time that I ordered Leech, Mattel had just recently announced that they were planning to do a new Eternia Hordak. Well then, no more need to twist my rubber arm, and we're finally having a look at Leech. A little too late, I know, but let's first also take the tape measure, and then we'll kind of do some stuff. First, the tape measure is going to tell us that Leech is going to stand at 6 1/4 inches in height. That's, going to translate to a figure that's 17 centimeters tall. Speaking of a new Hordak, here's an old Hordak. This was the original New Eternia Hordak. I think that's what it was. He's scaled certainly in size with Leech, so if you don't have plans to maybe pick up the new release of Hordak. I mean, the look of Hordak look fantastic. We're also getting a brand new Teela. Teela's eyes look a little wonky, but right now I know we're talking about the Princess of Power. Speaking of the Princess of Power, in fact, we did get a recent release of Princess. I don't know, many really like the look of She-Ra. I know some people really complained that this look of She-Ra really isn't their jam. I can certainly understand that. I do like the look of this She-Ra. It does kind of have a bit of the original doll She-Ra mixed with obviously the new stuff that Mattel's kind of got planned for their designs. Bringing some other members of the Horde right now. Here's what the figure looks like with Grizzlor. Let's bring in Catra. I know Catra unfortunately isn't in scale now. I'm wondering though, now that we've got ourselves a taller She-Ra, if eventually we're going to be getting, why are you not standing? If we're not going to be planning maybe to get a brand new Catra. Here's also what she looks like with Shadow Weaver. I guess here's what Leech looks like with Shadow Weaver. And of course, if you're going to be looking at a larger scale Leech, let's bring in some smaller figures as well. Here's not only the cartoon collection Leech, but also if I can get him to stand, there's the Master Universe Origins Leech as well. Tucked into the side of the compartment space for the packaging, one will then find a whip for Leech. It's funny, though, that he both gets a whip and he also gets a crossbow. Neither, though, he has the means to hold either. Because he has a suction cup hands. Stop that. He doesn't have, again, any means, which kind of is questionable how he really manages to fire off the crossbow. We're going to talk about that more in a couple of seconds, though. Yeah, the actual whip that's kind of cool is it's got a design of Hordak's face. Of course, it does have the bat wings on the side. This guy needs to brand himself for everything. The wings, though, work also to be a clip that fits around Leech's forearm. The whip itself, it's made of a more softer plastic. But let's go ahead and attach that onto Leech's forearm. It's just basically a case of snapping it onto his arm, and that's good to go. You don't really even have to have fingers for this at all. He basically just needs to move his arm around. Although with the length of the whip, I can't imagine he's going to be, unless you're standing, if you're standing this far away from Leech, I don't think you really have anything to worry about. If you get a little bit progressively closer, worry that the whip may whoosh right across your face. Figure does also come included with his crossbow. Now, this is the exact same crossbow that we did get before. The only thing that's actually, I shouldn't say really that. This part back, is essentially the exact same crossbow. Same clip. Same marker on the back there also, and it has still the kind of flame strand. The only thing that's also different, though, is, that's why I had to say it's the same from the back. You look at the heads, though. The heads are very different. One kind of looks more like a gator, and it's got like a single cyclops eye. This looks to be more like a bat or gargoyle, I guess. You can clearly see, though, there is a difference between the two crossbows. But if you don't look at the heads, everything from that point on is the identical. These clip onto the hands, or forearms for that matter, of Leech, the exact same way as the whip. Just basically clip that on. Again, I don't really know how he's firing this thing. Is it voice command? Is he just going... That's Leech for fire crossbow now. I guess you don't really have to say fire crossbow now. You could probably just say fire. The crossbow itself does look good on Leech's arm. I don't really feel like the figure needed to have swappable hands. If he's going to be Leech, he needs to have those suction hands. The hands themselves, as you can see, I mean, not to get too close to them, have some really cool sculpting on the inside of the palm. Those that have had this figure for a while in their collection would probably be yelling right now at the monitor, I know, been there, done that. We've already got the t-shirt for that. Wait, Leech came included with a t-shirt. He does also have the same texturing on the bottoms of his feet. Luckily, though, they chose to use harder plastic. That's Mattel, by the way, when I say they. Harder plastic does ensure at least that the figure is going to have a means to stand properly. If they had went the route, perhaps, of the suction feet, like the original Origins Leech, or for that matter, the cartoon collection, having a harder time to stand would certainly be high on your list, although it seems like I have them standing fine. Leech has no problems really with standing. Unfortunately, though, because he doesn't have to have these suction feet like this, he loses the potential of having peg holes in the bottoms of his heels. But still, like, the figure stands fine. I mean, I have no real issues with that at all. If you look at this guy and then you see the cues on the sides, you can kind of see that he has very similar style of armor. The coloring, though, is very drastically different. Origins went more the kind of lime skin of like a lime skin green, whereas then we've got the cartoon collection kind of went with more of a minty green, like winter fresh. That's an old man mint, by the way. You can argue with me all you want about that. But anybody that picks up winter fresh mints, you're an old man. I think younger people generally don't go anywhere near winter fresh toothpaste, mints, anything winter fresh. I think that generally is just perceived to be an old person. I even shouldn't say old man. And that's an old person flavor of mint. Let's move these out of the way. One thing, though, to be noting is that you can see that with both of the Leeches, he does have the Horde symbol on the front. They change, obviously. A little more simplified for the cartoon. A little bit more elaborate for the Origins. And actually, not that much different, really, when you're looking then at the new Princess of... I'd say new. It's not even close to being new. The Masterverse Leech has a very similar style of Horde. He doesn't actually have the little wings down below here, so if you kind of just cover that over with your thumb, it's a little similar. The face also, you can see, is sculpted really well there. I would imagine that this has probably been molded in the red plastic and not necessarily painted. I know this whole time of talking and comparing Leeches, have we even spent any time really to digest the look of Leech's face? He looks really less... what would be Leech, anyways? He looks kind of like a kissy... Like one of those fish. You know the fish that just have the big giant lips? What are we even talking about? Piranhas? No, piranhas don't have large lips. Is there a fish that has large lips? No. Down below. The face itself, though, while it doesn't have the evoked idea that he's got a suction cup for a face, you can kind of still get the idea that this is a face you still want to stay clear of. I do like the way they've painted the eye in there. That's a little dot of black and a dot of white. That looks nice. Again, I really like the coloring that they chose for the green. It's not the green, obviously, from the Origins. Nowhere near the winter fresh green that we got from the cartoon collection. It's a green that works really well, and it works well for also the armor that he has and the shoulder pads, too. The shoulder pads, they say online, can be removed, and they can. You basically will have to, though, take the hand off and shimmy, 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 Cocoa Puffs, all the way down his form until eventually you take off the shoulders. I can't see why really anybody would want to take the shoulder pads off Leech. I know, really, the cartoon collection had that, so that's one thing it sort of borrows over from. And yet, though, with the Origins version of Leech, I keep pulling these figures all in, you can see that that figure doesn't have it. So I guess if you choose to have the shoulders off, making it look a little bit more like the Origins or the vintage Leech, shimmy, 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 Cocoa Puff. For the figure's articulation, let's go and run through that right now. The figure does have a ball joint in the head, so it allows the head to rotate all the way around. The head can only look up that high. Blinked and you missed it, I'm sure. The head can look down also that low. You can also move the head back and forth. Upper torso is going to be on a ball joint. The lower abdomen, not so much. Not so much of a ball joint. Instead, what you're really being treated to instead is just a swivel. Swivel, swivel, swivel. The arms rotate all the way around. The shoulders will cause a little conflict when it comes to a T-pose. You can get a little less than a T-pose, I would say. That's not quite 90, a little less than 90. What is that, like 88? I don't know. Maybe an 88-degree angle. One thing about the shoulders, though, is as you are moving the arms, if you've already moved this down his arm the first time, it sort of removes some of the friction to keep the shoulder pads in place. So kind of as you are moving the arms, you might find like these start to, you know. The figure does have a double hinge on the elbow. Yes, he does. The hands rotate all the way around. You can hinge them back and forth. And then moving down to his legs, the legs are on ball joints, so it allows the legs to do this. It also allows the legs to do this. And this as well, yeah. There's a 3/4 of the way swivel for the thigh, so you can do this also as well with the thigh. The figure does have a double hinge on the knee. Articulation down below for the boot. Up and down ankle pivot. Back and forth rocker on the ankle as well. And that's basically Leech in a nutshell. Why I slept as long as I did for this Leech, I have really no idea. I love the look of Leech. I think the Masterverse release of him, I can't really think either that, are we going to get another version of Leech? I don't think so. We are certainly getting a new version of Hordak. That's been announced. There's images already circulating online. He kind of looks more the color scheme of the original vintage or the Origins Hordak, so he's going to have a lot of grays, a lot of blacks. The head sculpt looks fantastic, though. So that might have been also the one thing. I shouldn't say that was the thing that kind of nudged me to get Leech. It was the price markdown on Amazon. It sort of went from 38 to about 35. I think by the time I finally pulled the trigger, Leech was sitting around $27. Don't quote me on that. Don't go on Amazon's site. See, the guy has now gone back up in price and say, what's this guy doing? He's led me astray. I didn't lead you astray. I was just kind of telling you guys what I was paying for the figure at the time that this guy eventually went in my shopping cart. I'm kind of hovering. I just don't want this Leech to fall. A couple of other offerings for Leech. I mean, he's a character that has gotten a couple of releases. It sort of seems with every category, Leech has made an appearance. The vintage, the Origins, the cartoon collection with the winter fresh mint flavor. Seriously, it is only for old people. Now we finally have the Masterverse. I say finally, but you'd have to kind of go back about a year and a half, maybe even later than that in your time machine to see that Leech came out a long time ago. Finally, though, got around to getting him. Because I don't think there's ever going to be another Leech that we're going to be. I say that now. I mean, sure enough, I could have probably told you as well that we weren't ever going to be getting another Princess of Power, and then sure enough, we did get ourselves a new version of She-Ra. I think it's very unlikely that we're going to be getting another Leech. Time Jumper right now, I'm sure, is jumping into the comics saying, like, 6 months from this date, Mattel just announced that they're going to be doing Leech, and you've got to see this. This guy looks fantastic. Swappable faces, swappable suction cups. Man, oh man, you got to see that figure. Well, Time Jumper, I'm living for the now, and right now, that's a good-looking Leech, especially if you have and have been collecting the 7-inch scale. I know I did Leech dirty by not picking him up sooner. I think the biggest thing, as I said in this review, that faulted the figure was just the availability of him. I could go to any site. In fact, just throw out some names for sites where you can pick up your figures, and I bet you I could find a Masterverse Leech on there. He was quite readily stocked, and because of that, I never really felt an urgency to get him right away, because I could always say to myself, I could get Leech another day. Sure enough, though, one of those days would come around where if I decided I want to pick up a Leech, out of stock, big loser behind the camera who waited as long. Sure enough, though, finally Amazon had a price that I guess I just said to myself, okay, $27, $28, I can afford that. And I decided to then finally pick up Leech. Watch now Lady Luck laugh down at me and say, well, now that you've picked yourself up Masterverse Leech, Mattel will just be announcing a brand new Leech. Bigger, bolder, and suckier than before. I'm still happy that I grabbed this one. I like the look of the Leech's face. He does kind of look like he's kind of like a kissy piranha. I don't know what species really is Leech, and I'm assuming there's probably more of them. He does come include some pretty cool accessories, a whip. I don't think the whip really was necessary, but it's something at least to offset the fact the figure can't really fire a crossbow. He just voice commands the crossbow to fire. The crossbow, though, while having a similar design of the one that we've already gotten before, it's a different head, so there's at least that. Yeah, from head to toe, even though does he technically have toes? He's got big flat feet. Something very creepy about people that have flat feet. Here I am talking about winter fresh. I'm not talking about flat feet. What are we going on here? In the end, though, I'm finally happy to have Leech as part of my collection. I know, again, it's been a while since this guy has been released, but finally, I don't have to keep going to sites, finally just saying to myself, one day I'm going to pick up the figure. One day was right away. Well, right away about a couple of days ago. What do you guys think of Masterverse Leech and what likelihood there is now the guy behind the camera has finally picked him up? Mattel's not just going to announce a brand new Leech. By the way, as a releasing note, I am really excited for that new Hordak. That Hordak looks chef's kiss. It's not maybe like Leech's kiss. That's the kind of kiss you would want to stay clear of. Or is it... I think that was just, I think I told him to fire off the crossbow. That was Leech, by the way, though. If you enjoyed the video, do it a solid and throw it a like. I won't be doing that anymore, by the way. If you certainly want to stick around for more so, and I hope so, hit that subscribe, turn on the bell so that gives you, obviously all the reminders, the notifications from YouTube, blah, 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 that new video content is coming your way. And speaking of video content coming your way, yes, there will be more of that stuff. All the stuff I just said. There's lots more of that coming your way. So as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.